What's up, everybody? This is Danny Segura, and I'm joined by Garry Tonon, who will be fighting at Metamoris 4 against Kit Dale. Gary, how are you?
I'm doing well, Dan.
Now, you'll be versing Kit Dale, but this is the first time I've interviewed you, and, I want to ask you a couple things before we get on to Metamoris 4. You versed Kron Gracie, which was one of my favorite matches I've ever seen. It was a back and forth, very exciting match. Did you learn anything from that match?
Yeah, I definitely learned a lot of things from that match. I try to take, especially like any matches that I lose. I mean, when I win or lose, I try to learn something. But especially matches that I lose, like I always place the most importance on because I mean, clearly I made mistakes. So I think like major things that I did in that match was I definitely didn't. I didn't go like as hard as I could right from the beginning and kind of relax a little bit. It ended up not being such a terrible strategy because I ended up getting out of the mount, escaping an armbar narrowly, and getting in good position. But I think I think I was a little tentative to wrestle and things because I had heard that he has really good guillotines and things, and I think I should have just played my game and stuck with it. So I mean, there's that I want to consistently. I've been consistently trying to do that more and more often. And then I think other than that, what I learned was number one, always have a corner. All right, that's definitely important because there was 3 seconds left and I didn't know that, and I didn't really have anybody in my corner for that match, like yelling out time or anything. So that's kind of important. I'm definitely going to improve upon that. Like I have my professor is going to come down and corner me for Metamoris. It was just hard because it was China. You know what I mean? Right. To get people down there. And then the other thing I would say is that like when I get to like a dominant position where I should be finishing, like just finish, I think I got there and, I had taken his back and I was up by like 4 or 6 points or something. And I said to myself, I was like, oh, wow, like you pretty much did it. You know what I mean? You're there. And, I didn't push for the submission as hard as I probably could have, and then eventually, he scrambled out. That was an opportunity that I could have had to beat him. Also, I feel there's definitely times where like in some of my ADCC matches, I kind of didn't play to the rules that like I should have, because there's a lot of different rules that ADCC has that a lot of organizations don't. So it's a little different competing under that, and I should have paid a little bit more attention, in my training and stuff to the things like that. I definitely wouldn't have sat back for a leg lock had I been thinking a little bit more about points and things like that. I probably should have just kept the match standing after he got out from the back.
Now, you mentioned earlier about the armbar. That was a pretty tight armbar, and I don't know how you got out of it. I think 99% of the people would have tapped to that.
Magic.
What went on, and how did you get out? I mean, was there really magic going on?
No. I train submission escapes like that a lot, and I think it's like I'm trying to get that message across to my students recently. That they need to start letting people have fully extended submissions, because there's a point in the beginning where you can defend most submissions. There's like that early stage of like defense, and I think that's what most people get used to defending. Like they're trained to defend like that. Like, okay, somebody goes for an armbar and then like I grab my bicep and I stack them. Well, that's great if somebody hasn't gotten the fully extended armbar yet. If they haven't gotten to the point where you're almost tapping. But I mean, in the scenario where you plan for your opponent to be in a really, really good position on you and they have the armbar fully extended, like not too many people really train that. They get the armbar fully extended, and for fear that they're going to get hurt or whatever the case may be, they're tapping right away. And I think it's super important in any position, whether it's leg locks, whether it's arm bars, chokes, whatever the case may be, you experiment a little bit with that end range. What am I going to do in that oh shit scenario where like someone almost got you caught? And I do that a lot with arm bars specifically. I fully extend my arm and I'll give it to people in training, and mostly people I trust. But now that I've gotten better with it, like I don't even mind giving it to somebody that I don't trust. And I just go with it. I let my body move the way that it naturally needs to move to escape the armbar. And that's something that's not necessarily an escape that I would learn. Like I have learned like escapes in the past and like different positions to move into. But after a while, it becomes more about like, okay, I move this way. Is it tight? No. Now I got to move the other way. And your body just gets used to moving in that scenario. And that's pretty much what happened with Kron. I tried to escape the traditional way I normally do, which is to throw my elbow down and to rotate to the opposite side. And he stopped me. I'm pretty sure the leg was underneath the head. So I couldn't do that. So I had to sit up and I pushed the leg down over my body so that I could sit up, and I was able to continue to rotate and eventually escape the way I originally planned afterwards. So I definitely think it's just a matter of training those positions, you know?
So now talking about your upcoming fight against Kit Dale, what are your thoughts on him as an opponent?
I think it's going to be a really exciting fight. You know, like you said, like I've never fought Kit before, and I was kind of expecting if they were going to put me in Metamoris or any of these tournaments, like to get, if I was going to have super fights, to get put against some of the guys that I've had better matches with in the past, and maybe they were close matches, whatever the case may be. They were going to put me up against Kron, whatever the case. You know, I would have loved that match. Don't worry. Like I'm definitely going to, you know, if I do beat Kit, I'm definitely going to ask for it for sure. You know, and I've been wanting it, and there's other people I've wanted to fight. But I do think it's really exciting to be able to fight somebody I've never competed against, because it's a whole new challenge, a whole new game to try and dissect and look at and see, you know, what kind of holes in his game I could exploit, or, you know, whatever the case may be. It's going to make me better to compete against somebody new. But also, you know, there's a factor that like he's seen as like a really exciting and new you know, jiu-jitsu practitioner. Like he goes for the submission, and, you know, he goes out there to win, not just to not lose. You know what I mean? So in that way, I think it's going to make for a really, really exciting fight. So I'm super stoked about that.
A lot of people have you as a favorite coming into this match. Would you consider yourself a favorite over Kit?
I think, you know, with some of my with my competitive achievements and stuff, you know, if you just like, if there were like statistics for jiu-jitsu and you probably lined up like my statistics with his, you know, I think it would appear that I'd be the favorite. But it's tough to do in a scenario like that, because he does come from Australia, and like the same tournaments that I'm competing in aren't as available to him. You know, he's got to travel a lot anytime he wants to compete in something big. So I think it's really hard to tell. I'm a firm believer that like if you train the right way, you don't necessarily have to have like killers training with you all the time. You know, if you're paying attention and you're, you know, watching video of really good guys competing and training and drilling and things like that, and, you know, and you're dissecting the game and you're learning, like I don't see why somebody can't do really, really well or get a good jiu-jitsu game, you know, apart from everybody else. I mean, you know, that's how it had to happen initially. It's not like there was all of a sudden like some jiu-jitsu god that came down and started imparting knowledge on people. Like people had to work to figure out how to do things. So I don't think that just because he's set aside from the United States a little bit that, you know, he can't have a really good game. And I think he's proved that in many of his matches in competition.
Now you mentioned how the ADCC had like different rules and how it changes, it varies among tournaments. Obviously, Metamoris is a very unique tournament. How do you approach a tournament like this, obviously keeping in mind that there is no points and there's 20 minutes?
Yeah, I already started, you know, having like a lot longer matches. Like I'll do like 10-minute matches now. I don't always do 20-minute matches. I'll go for 20 minutes with different people. You know what I mean? So I'll take like, you know, first 5 minutes there'll be somebody, and then put a fresh guy in, whatever the case may be. You just want to try and get yourself training when you're tired, because guaranteed at some point in that 20-minute match you're going to be tired. So, you know, I mean that's the biggest thing, is just trying my hardest to, you know, really push myself and, you know, put myself in those bad situations and stuff that I'm definitely going to be in. It's unrealistic to think like for the most part in a 20-minute match that you're not going to be somewhere where you don't want to be, and you're not going to be tired. So I definitely think that that's probably the biggest thing. Now, in terms of like it being submission only and stuff, the way I train, I think is, you know, most towards that kind of like goal, you know. So like I train to get the submission, and I use all different types of attacks. Like unless I'm training in the gi, like I'm always, you know, I'm doing leg locks and heel hooks and things like that. So it's not like any of that really changes for me. It's the same sort of game that I'm always training with my students and with guys in the city and with guys at Ricardo's and stuff like that. So.
It seems also there's a lot of controversy between point system and having no point system. A lot of people, you know, have different opinions on it. What is your opinion on it? Do you like a point system, or do you just like maybe submission only?
I mean, I love submission only because I'm good at it. You know, I mean, I think that's when I've been most successful in competition, has been in an environment where there's, you know, no points and it's submission only. So, I mean, in that aspect, you know, I just like it because it plays towards, you know, the kind of game that I have, and, you know, the way that I compete and everything. Because like I said, you know, like I like to fight out of bad positions and things. And, I like to be able to have a chance to do that. And submission only allows you to do that. You can come back from being mounted or being put in a submission, whatever the case may be, and not have to worry about advantages and points and all those things. In terms of like how I think it affects the sport, I think it's super important to have both. I say this like a lot of times when people ask me this question. I don't think there's like one true way to compete. Like I think having different rule sets is really good. I know it kind of takes us a step back from being able to be in the Olympics and things like that, but I think having all these different rule sets is awesome because it's a totally different way of competing in a submission only tournament than it is in a points tournament. And I think there's good and bad that come with it. Like in a submission only tournament, like some of these Gracies, they claim to say like, oh, that's like the only true way of like competing or whatever. And to me, it's like, how could that be the case? Like I could lay on my back and have somebody on top of me in side control for 20 minutes if I wanted to. And then at the end, get it like, explode out and get a heel hook or something. But like in a real fight, like I can't lay on the ground and just sit there. You know what I mean? So, but in other aspects in the points tournament, sure, I could get a takedown and then I could run away from the guy. It actually just happened to me this weekend. You could get a takedown, you could run away from the guy, and he never gets another chance to really get any points. So at the same time, is that really jiu-jitsu? Is that really fighting? Like, what I mean? It's hard to say. So I think both are really important because the points tournament kind of puts you, helps you pay more attention to that positional aspect that is lost a little bit in the submission only aspect.
Now this seems to be a very exciting fight. Obviously, you mentioned your style and Kid, a very interesting character. What do you think the fans can expect in this one?
I think they can expect a really, really good match. Like I said, I've been trying my best to work on my wrestling and things. So I'm definitely, unless he plans on pulling guard, I plan on working from the feet at first and seeing where that takes us. And like I said, I've never been one to worry about like getting put in bad spots and things. So I'm definitely going to go for broke and try all the things that I've been working on, and I think they're going to see. I think they might see some new things for sure. I always try to bring something new to the table.
All right. Do you have any word out there for your fans, teammates, or perhaps sponsors?
Yeah. Always thank you to all my teammates at Ocean County Jiu-Jitsu, Ricardo Almeida and Renzo Gracie. If I wasn't for any of those guys, like I wouldn't be anywhere with my coaches and my teammates. And then Scotty at onthemat.com, and Lucky Gee, he helps me out a lot with sponsorship. And just one more word to put out there, because I am going out there for Metamoris. I'm probably going to make like at least like a week trip or week and a half trip. So if anybody's interested in seminars or privates or anything like that, you can contact me at tononseminar.com, or I'm sorry, tononseminar@gmail.com. And, we'll get something together for that, whether it's seminars, privates, whatever the case may be. I'm really interested in trying to make a little bit of a trip out of that, and so I can go around to a couple different academies and get some good looks.
All right, well, Garry, thank you so much for your time, and best of luck against Kit.
Thanks so much, man. I appreciate the interview. Thanks for the opportunity.